Am I the asshole for taking back a shawl my wife made for a bride to be after she was uninvited from the wedding? Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say beforehand, because we are the grammar police around here. I want to say thank you to whoever wrote this for completing the 12th grade. Thank you for getting your high school diploma and walking across that stage. You know what? You may have been magna cum laude, if that's a thing in high school. You were definitely graduating with honors, and
With
you know what? I
honors.
thank you for that. So the story goes like this: my wife Lena crochets a lot and often gifts it to her friends and family. When her second oldest brother got married, she made the bride a shawl to wear over her dress in the evening. The bride loved it, and ever since, Lena has made shawls for everyone in her family getting married. Now, Lena's oldest brother, George, is getting married again. Lena doesn't have a relationship with George as he was abusive to her as a child. But if she has to see him, then she is polite but is distant with him. She doesn't want to cut off the rest of her family because of George. I work with George, and while we aren't friends, we are friendly at work. Lena encouraged this when George got moved to a team that I was on. I requested to get transferred, not wanting to expose Lena to George, as my team does a lot of get-togethers with our significant others. As it is a family wedding, Lena's mom asked if she could crochet a shawl for George's fiance, and Lena agreed. It was agreed that once it was finished, I would take it to work and give it to George so that Lena didn't have to see him. And I apologize, everybody. This is a longer story, but it's well worth it. Earlier this week, the shawl was completed, and I emailed George at work to tell to let him know that I would bring it in today as the wedding was tomorrow. Note that is very last minute. Like that's
Very
low key
last minute.
disrespectful. Like why would you bring it the day before the wedding? Like this needs to
Right.
be like a week in advance in case she wants any adjustments. Like if it's not long
Yeah.
enough. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
when I got to work this morning, I gave George the shawl and let him know that Lena and I were looking forward to the wedding. Come lunchtime, Lena called me to let me know that George's fiance had called her and told her that she was no longer invited to the wedding, citing the place that they were having the wedding and the reception is too small for the number that they have coming. So they had to make some cutbacks. However, I was still invited to the wedding. Child. I was mad at this because they clearly only invited Lena to get a shawl, which to me is just rude. If they had asked Lena outright to make one, she probably would have because she loves to crochet. On my way out of work, I noticed George wasn't at his desk, but the shawl was. I was still mad that they had asked Lena to get the shawl, and I shoved it into my work bag. I left a note on his desk telling George since Lena was no longer invited, the shawl and I would no longer be attending either. On my way home, I told Lena what I had done and asked her if she wanted to go instead, so not to waste having procured a sitter. Lena was upset that I had taken the shawl as it was causing an uproar in her family group chat where people were calling her petty because I took it back. Lena wants me to give it back. I don't think I should. They don't deserve Lena's kindness. However, at the same time, I don't want Lena to be upset with me over George and a shawl. Am I the asshole for taking back the shawl? And here's a small edit before we get into the letter. I have messaged the group chat letting them know that I took it. And if they should be pissed at anyone, then it should be me. But I would do it again because no one gets to be a dick to Lena. Crystal, what say you? When I
Let
tell
me tell you
you,
something.
this letter had me on the floor.
Let me tell you something. Once again, kudos to this man for
Mm.
having his wife's back.
Mm-hmm.
We hear so many stories
So
where
many.
the case is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I understand wanting to keep the peace. I
Mm-hmm.
understand wanting to not have conflict, especially in regards to like family members and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
girl, they invited you to this event only because they wanted something from you. And then as soon
Yep.
as they got it, they cut it because
Yep.
they've known all along that the venue or whatever was too small, that they couldn't have all these people. And mind you, you're not just anybody. You're a core member of the family, regardless of what your relationship is with George or whatever. You are still a core member of the family. Like, everybody else in your family is going to be there except for you, but your husband's going to be there. Like,
Right.
so I applaud this husband for doing and I applaud him for even messaging it. And I would have let them know, hey, this is why I did it. I did this
Yep.
because they decided that they
Mm-hmm.
wanted this shawl more than they wanted her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Think of
they
how diabolical that is. Think of how
honestly,
diabolical that is. Like, for you to fake wanting this lady at your wedding just to get this shawl only because everyone else in the family has had this shawl.
right,
So you want to be a part of that, but you don't want to be a part of this person's life when
right,
you are the abuser, sir.
right.
You
Reg-
okay? I have to say alleged abuser because we don't
Alleged,
want this
right,
podcast shut down before it gets started.
right. But
The alleged abuser.
regardless, again, she's still a core member of this family. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
your sibling. This isn't like a distant cousin or like
Right.
so and so's, you know, this is your family member and this is the wife twice removed or something like that. This is a core member of
Mm-hmm.
your family.
Yeah.
And like you said, you wanted this because everybody else. She could have easily been charging money for it. You could have easily been like, look, we don't have enough people, but I'd really like to have one of these shawls. And he even said, if you had just asked, she probably would have done it just because she's kind like that.
Because I can't imagine being kind to the point where I go out of my way to make a this is a family tradition at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To include your abuser in the
Right.
family tradition and still go through with it, and it makes something for them to celebrate their special day and still intend on attending the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and showing them that love and support, even though, obviously you still hold some sort of trauma or hurt behind what this person did to you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that level because I can't say on this podcast what I would say to this person if I even received the invitation.
Right.
If I even received the invitation, it would be
Yeah.
me versus the rest of the family because I would never let it go. I
And
would never
honestly,
let it go.
and I wonder if the rest of the family even knows why she
Mm,
took, because if she is she even defending herself, or because she also doesn't think it's really right. So I'm wondering if she was
mm,
even defending herself. So I'm hoping when he made that message like, hey, you should be mad at me, I'm the one who took this, I hope he was like, and the reason why I took it is because she's
mm,
no longer invited. They waited the
yeah,
day before when they finally got the shawl to then uninvite
exactly.
her.
Because it's very obvious that that's what they were waiting for.
Right. So me personally, I applaud the husband. I think he
Mm.
should do exactly that. He should keep the shawl, and I think they should utilize that babysitter, and they should have a date night.
But how about the wife's reaction, though? How would you respond to the wife's reaction of being upset with you and blaming you for causing problems with her and her family? Well, with them and their family.
But you know what? It's not. I don't think she's really upset with him. I think it's just the fact
Mm.
that everybody's upset with her, and she
And I
might be
see it
one of
the
those
same way.
people who doesn't
Yeah.
who
Like
wants to
conflict.
avoid conflict, because I get it.
Yeah.
I'm someone who doesn't genuinely like to be engaged in conflict. Now if you engage me in conflict, I, i'm
Well,
I'm going to
well,
engage back.
well.
But if I can avoid it, I like to avoid it. Like, I
Crystal and
don't
I
want to
know
have an
each other
argument.
very well. And Crystal and I Crystal and I are we are very, you know what, you and I are very yin and yang in a lot of different ways. And one of those ways is I do not shy away from immediate conflict. If it's prolonged conflict, I will hold my tongue because I know how hot things can get so fast.
Yeah.
For me. But if it's something that crosses the threshold of my tolerance, I will burn very hot very fast.
Yeah.
Crystal is we won't even go there. We won't even go there. But Crystal is one of the kindest, sweetest, most caring people I know.
My brother is rolling his eyes at this podcast right now. My brother's like,
but Crystal is a spicy girl. Crystal is a spicy girl. and you know what I appreciated about her? Like she is, if she feel like she in the right, she gonna put on.
yeah.
She is going to put on.
I feel like if I could think as fast as you do, because when you are confronted with a conflict, the way you present facts and the way you present yourself is so articulate. Like, I listen to it and I just feel dumb. Like, somehow I don't understand what you're saying and understand what you're saying at the same time, and I feel stupid. So I can't imagine being on the other end of that. Like, if I could articulate myself the way you do, maybe I would be more. But I can't articulate myself. It isn't. I'm one of those people where it's like, if I get in a conflict with something, then I say something, and then an hour later, I'm like, I should have said this. I should have said it this way.
And you know what? And that is the yin and yang. That is the yin and yang. Yes. Because Crystal is going to let you know. But I low key, like, I have gone to bat for Crystal. Yes. Based solely off the fact that I respect that about her so much. Like, for real. Like, because you don't do it, Crystal, unless you know that you are right.
Right.
I can say, I had to pause for a second because I had to think about it. But in all the instances I can think of, you were right in all those instances.
Yeah.
You say you wish that you processed it as quick, which I feel like you do.
Really?
You react a lot faster, but I feel like you do process it. Like, you really do have that moment of like, am I right or wrong in this situation? Right. And if you come to the conclusion that you're right, you are 110%, like, immediately.
Right.
The aftermath is a lot more messy.
Right.
But
yeah.
But you do end up being right.
Yeah. But like I said, I do like to, because I don't like those feelings in me. I don't like what it brings out in me, the person it brings out in me. So I prefer to be on, a nicer level. But yeah, if you keep pushing. Anyways, but yeah, I think once she calms down, because right now this is just the heat of the moment. This is right before the wedding. Like, everything is like probably piling on her. So, I think when she really sits and thinks about it, when she sees him and speaks to him, and he can give her some words of encouragement, and he can really be like, I'm on your side. You shouldn't be feeling this way. They're doing you wrong. Your feelings are not insignificant, and you shouldn't act like they are. I think she might change her tune towards him a little bit more, be a little bit more forgiving. So I don't want to necessarily call her out for the way she's reacting right now, because I do think she just needs some time to process a little bit.
Yeah. I don't
You're
know,
like,
because if
you're
I
like,
because if I was the husband,
yeah.
it seems like from the letter, he presented himself very well,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like he really processed
Yeah.
what she was saying to him, and he didn't read it the way that I'm emotionally reading it, where he was like, this doesn't have to do anything with me, it more has to do with how she feels like she is being perceived by her family,
Yeah.
which is very important to her.
Right.
So I need to go in. The only solution for me, or the way to remedy this, is to go in there and say, this is my fault, without
Right.
saying it's my fault.
Right.
Saying, if you're gonna be mad at anybody, be mad at me, which is something I can relate to, because after my initial reaction would be, bitch, how dare you not be happy with me? But
Yeah.
I would never say that. After about 15, 20, maybe an hour, I would be
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, let me go in this group chat and be like, you know what? Lay me on the sword,
Right.
But my initial reaction would be like, how dare you not appreciate the gesture
Yeah.
of me? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
So,
like I said, and maybe now that he's done that, maybe if some of the heat comes off of her and it switches to him and she's not dealing with it, that immediate
mhm.
reaction, maybe she will be able to recognize, what he's doing for her.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
ultimately he's doing a real solid for you. Like he's doing what he should be doing, which
Uh,
is backing you up completely. And
uh,
I'm hoping
uh,
that she will notice that
yeah.
once she's had a little time.
Yeah, I hope. And you know what? I think she will.
Yeah.
She sounds like a sweetheart. She sounds like somebody that you and I used to work with,
Yeah.
whose name starts with a K, who we
Mm-hmm.
used to work with around the time I first started.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very, very sweethearted person
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes.
But which is
And
why this letter kind of,
I
you
warned her
know,
too, and she still didn't listen to me. Anyways.
well.
All right. So we're labeling this person not the
Ooh,
asshole.
we. Not the
Um,
asshole.
not the asshole.
Mm-mm.
Agreed. Okay. So
A
now
king above
we
men. Okay.
honestly keep doing what you're doing, sir,
Keep
because
doing what you do, white king. I'm assuming he white. I'm assuming he white. I'm sorry.